Hello Year 7 and welcome back to our lessons this week. Yesterday we started looking at the theme of childhood and today we are going to be looking more in depth at poetic techniques. So the first thing we'd like you to do is have a think about where you are now at our starting point. How confident do you feel about poetry? So the first thing we'd like you to do is rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Where do you feel you are when it comes to knowing about poetry? With 1 being I don't know the names of any poetry terms at all, up to 5 being you know that some of them but you're not very confident using them or identifying them, and 10 being that you know lots of poetry terms, can identify them when you're looking at a poem and are able to use them yourself confidently. So give us a number and then write yourself a target that you're going to aim for during this term. So it might be like being able to name 5 different poetic terms and use them confidently, or to be able to identify poetic techniques in a poem so that when we're looking at new work, you are able to spot them and use them confidently. So the first terms that we are going to be looking at are metaphors and similes. Metaphors and similes are used to compare one thing to another and to create a strong mental image for the reader. But what I'd like you to find out for me and explain is what is the difference between a metaphor and a simile? They're both used to do the same thing. What actually is the difference? Once you've done that, what I'd like you to do is choose one of the following boxes. You do not need to do all 3 boxes. This depends on how confident you feel about metaphors and similes. So if you're not very confident at all, start with the orange box and have a go at those and see whether that helps you understand fully what a metaphor and simile is. If you feel a bit more confident, and you know what they are and you just want to develop that a little bit further, have a go at the green box. And then finally, if you feel very confident about them and you know exactly what they are, have a go at the blue box. That's going to start making you think a little bit more in depth about what makes an effective metaphor and why. The next technique we're going to be looking at is imagery. Imagery is a very broad term and it's used for when language is used to visually describe or symbolise an idea or emotion. Now there are lots of different kinds of imagery. So for example, nature imagery where you use trees, flowers, plants, etc. to symbolise something to your reader. You may want to look this up, but I'm asking you now to find 3 more different types of imagery. So have a look, Google it, see what you can find. Again, we've got 3 different types of activity for you to do today, and it entirely depends on your level of comfort and confidence. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself though. If you think you're okay with it, start on the green, and if you find the green too easy, have a go then at the blue. Again, remember this is all to do with your level of knowledge and you choosing what's right for you today. Our next technique is alliteration. Definition is there for you at the top. Can you come up with another 3 examples of alliteration? Choose a letter and have a go. Again, we've got 3 types of activities for you to choose from today. Decide which one you're going to do and don't be afraid to challenge yourself. The final technique is a little bit more challenging and is quite an advanced literary term. Have a go at this if you feel confident with the other techniques we've looked at. Juxtaposition is the phrase we use to describe when a writer places 2 contrasting images close together to emphasise their differences. So that may be in a paragraph, in a stanza, if you're looking at a poem. What we'd like you to do is pair up the images that could be used to show contrasting, meaning opposite, ideas. Once you've done that, can you create a sentence that juxtaposes these ideas, so shows them in a close proximity to each other to emphasise their difference? The one I've done for you is this. The freezing ice burned my skin. In this sentence, we've got the freezing ice and the idea of burning, normally associated with fire or heat. This shows just how cold the ice was by the fact it burned my skin. Finally, we'd like you to think, now that we have looked at a range of different poetic terms, how confident do you feel now about poetry? So redo your rating from the beginning of today's lesson and decide, has it stayed the same? Has it changed? Why might that be? Give us a number, give us an explanation. Tomorrow you're going to be looking at your first poem. Okay, so remember to do as much as you can in the hour. Send your classwork to your teacher. And any questions, please just get in touch with me or Miss MacArthur. Work hard. I'll see you tomorrow.